Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those of you elsewhere in the world. Welcome to today's webcast. Today we're going to be looking at the new DevOps Practitioner courses from the DevOps Institute. I'm going to host the webinar. I'm Helen Beal from Range 4, and my colleague Daniel is joining us today. Say hello, Daniel.
Hello, Helen. How are you? Thank you for letting me be part of this.
I'm good, thank you. And our pleasure, as always. It's always good to tag team this, as it were. So we're going to start by having a look at the Bloom's taxonomy, just to set the scene. So we're going to talk a little bit about the courses that we've been offering for, a year and a half or more now with the DevOps Institute. But Daniel, perhaps you can talk us through this taxonomy and where we've been sat on here previously with the previous courses that we've been offering.
The previous courses have been to help set the basics, really. I mean, the DevOps Foundation course, the Certified Agile Service Manager course, help set the basics between what is DevOps and what we mean by Agile Service Management. So they really look at Bloom's taxonomy from a basic knowledge and comprehension point of view. It's like, have you paid attention, and do you have enough understanding to be able to answer some questions or be able to talk about it with sense? The courses we're about to discuss are now going to up the ante a little bit, and they're going to really look at helping us apply those principles and practices that we discussed in the DevOps Foundation course and the Certified Agile Service Management course, and really drive home the fact about how we can use them. So I'm excited to hear and be able to share the rest of the courses.
So basically we're saying that previously we've kind of been at the purple and the blue levels on the light bulb, and we're now moving up into the green areas for these new courses.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're going to learn application.
So we've referred to these as DevOps Practitioner courses. In some of the emails and the pre-materials, you'll have seen the DevOps Professional kind of certification or label thrown around. More recently, where we've gone to with this is we're actually talking about the DevOps Game Changer. So what the DevOps Institute are doing, and I should explain a little bit of background here for people that are new to us. Ranger 4 are a DevOps transformation specialist, so we help people underpin their business using DevOps practices and compress the time between idea to realization and get innovation to their customers faster. One of the big pieces around this is around cultural change and helping people understand the concepts around DevOps. So one of the strands of tools that we offer people to help make DevOps improvements in their organization is our training. So what we've done with that is we have a partnership with the DevOps Institute. So the DevOps Institute is just over 2 years old. It was started by Jane Grohl, who's run the ITSM Academy for many, many years, and Alan Schimmel, who runs DevOps.com, so the premier site for DevOps information out there on the internet. What the DevOps Institute are doing here, so we're a registered education partner. I actually sit on the board of regents at the DOI as well. What we're trying to do here with the DOI is create a global learning community. So as you now progress through these courses, you can earn digital badges, and the more digital badges you get, the closer you get to becoming the DevOps Game Changer. Couple of notes here. Any of you on the call that have already done a certification with us, whether that's the foundation course, the Agile Service Manager course, or the Agile Process Owner course, you will be given a free pass to the DOI global community, so DOI membership for a year. And anybody moving forwards, as soon as you receive a badge, you'll have access to the learning community. So that's a place where you can share your experiences with other people and other learners. And we're also planning, along with the DOI and all the other reps, other ways to make that a really valuable resource for you. Is there anything you'd like to add there, Daniel?
No, I think that the opportunity to be able to become part of a community of people that are discussing and learning about DevOps will be fun. See how this rolls out, and it's something very new. So looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, and like Jane,
and being part of the community.
as Jane talks about, there isn't, or DevOps has resisted definition. There is, of course, a definition on Wikipedia, and actually, this might be a good time to mention that those of you on the call, you can see there's a handout section on your GoToWebinar control panel. If you go to the handout section, you'll see there's two handouts in there. One is the slides that we're using today, and the other is the ebook that outlines all of the courses. In there, you'll see there is the definition of DevOps as used from Wikipedia, which is quite regularly updated, but generally DevOps has resisted definition, exact definition and codification. It doesn't have a manifesto in the same way that things like Agile do. Of course, the DevOps Handbook was recently at the start of October, published by Gene Kim and Jez Humble and John Willis and Patrick Dubois. But generally, there's kind of more of a, as Jane chooses to refer to it often, I think this body of knowledge or a BOK. So the learning community will be able to take advantage of that body of knowledge that is building, and it will be accessed within the Learner portal. So essentially, we've got these digital badges. So at the moment, if you do one of the courses, like you can see on my own LinkedIn profile, you can add the course to your profile and it'll come up with the DevOps Institute logo. And what we're going to be doing now is adding these digital badges so you can have these against your LinkedIn profile or any other social media you like to choose, and you can share them. And once you've achieved these badges, you get access to the learning community. We'll cover this in a minute, but a couple of the courses, we've mentioned them already, the Agile Service Manager and the Agile Process Owner. So the blue one here is Process Owner and the orange one is Agile Service Manager. Those have been offered for a while, and they don't have a prerequisite of the DevOps Foundation course needed to be completed first. But these other ones, so these new ones, do. And this is the DevOps Game Changer or the DevOps Professional badge here. So, Daniel, what can you tell us about the Game Changer badge?
The Game Changer badge, and we'll see this in a little bit, is going to be a more detailed version of some of the concepts that all the different courses that are coming out and have already started mention, such as Kanban and Lean, and maybe a little bit more about IT service management and DevOps and how they relate together. The Game Changer is there to, help people think about the fact that DevOps is there to change the way that they go and use technology and really start, make a little bit of fun on the Game Changer and not worry about necessarily a certification that goes with it, but more as you mentioned, obtain a certain body of knowledge and then be able to use that.
So what do you have to do to get the Game Changer badge?
You have to take a course, which we'll mention in a bit, but you don't necessarily have to take an exam. And that, I think, is a big game changer, is that people are going to be able to spend more time learning and not necessarily have to worry about an exam afterwards. So it's going to be very interactive. There's going to be lots of exercises and work sessions associated with each course that comes out, like Lean DevOps or Kanban DevOps.
Excellent. So these are the badges. These are the courses. So top level we'll cover in a second, those ones we already have. And then we're going to do a deeper dive into the next four. And then we've just talked about the Game Changer badge. We'll cover that off again at the end. So the current courses that we have, that we've offered for quite a while now, the DevOps Foundation course, Agile Service Manager and Agile Process Owner. Daniel, as the most recent deliverer of the DevOps Foundation course to a customer in London last week, can you talk us through it? It's 16 hours, it's a 60-minute exam. What else can you tell us about the DevOps Foundation course?
Well, I think the DevOps Foundation course is fun. It's fun because it sets the basics and it sets the vocabulary about what do we mean by the three main ways or about DevOps and flow and getting right feedback and looking at continuous experimentation and learning. And also, how do you then apply comms, or the 5 main values of DevOps, of getting the right culture into place, looking at how you look at a way of working and applying automation where it makes sense. Always thinking about the end-to-end stream and thinking about the customer and thinking about the employee and how that's related from employee back to the customer. So the lean aspect of that to remove waste. The right type of metrics and, how do you share this knowledge, which is what we're doing, with the introduction of these new courses, is sharing knowledge. And then that's continued into the Agile Service Manager and the Agile Process Owner, which there's a new series of blogs out, if you haven't seen it, on the Ranger 4 website about what these are specifically. But it's basically, how do you get the right mindset in place to help people that are in the PMO or in the development cycle, as Helen mentioned, the idea to realization cycle. How do you get them aligned with the right way of working and the right type of mindset to be able to help people do better, faster, safer, other than just your Scrum Master or product owner? So it just gives them a little bit more information. It's all part of the scrum.org alliance that is being built. So it's adding a lot of value to people that are interested in DevOps.
So yeah, if we're extending agile development thinking into IT operations, what I like to describe the agile service manager is like a scrum master, and the agile process owner is like a product owner in Scrum speak, but for the ops people. So you learn all those Scrum principles. DevOps Foundation, we're also on version 2 of DevOps Foundation at the moment. What were the main updates from your point of view, Daniel?
Now I just get to brag. So, so we really, with the DevOps Handbook when it came out, I think people were surprised at the emphasis on lean. And Jez Humble is a big proponent of lean and being able to use the concepts and mentality of that. And the DevOps Foundation Institute, was very kind to allow us to be part of their slides by having some examples about value stream mapping actually introduced into the course, because that's such a big part of the DevOps Handbook. I think the other thing is it really clarifies more deeply what are the various things associated with the 3 ways and what are the various things associated with comms, automation, lean, metrics, and sharing, and why were they chosen and why are they important. So it's a much better course, and like all things DevOps, you get some feedback and you improve. So
absolutely, not that it wasn't brilliant before, but yes, continuous improvement, and this body of work is changing all the time. So it's important that we iteratively update our courses as well. So these courses, these 3, as I said, are 16-hour courses that can be followed by an exam either in the classroom or using a voucher from PeopleCert. And you'll see on all of the badges that it says this is DevOps Institute in alliance with PeopleCert. So PeopleCert are the examining body. So even if you do the course in class, what happens then is you do it on a printed exam sheet, and then that will be submitted to PeopleCert for marking, and that's where your certification will be issued from. So we deliver these as public schedule courses. You can find the schedule of the public schedule on our website. We also deliver them custom on site with customers, and we also do offer them online. So Rajashi, that answers your question. They are available online. I should say the DevOps Foundation and the Agile Service Manager are currently available online from ourselves in 30, 60 or 150 day kind of increments, so you can decide whether you want to study it for those lengths of time, and they have different prices. Obviously, the more expensive, the longer that you have access to the online training portal. And CAPO, or the Certified Agile Process Owner course, is coming through online. So let's move on to the new stuff. So we have 4 new courses in 2017 coming through, and we're going to be delivering them on a rolling basis. So in February, you can see we've got the Test Engineer course coming through, and then that's going to be followed by the Continuous Delivery Architect course in March. The DevOps Leader course will be coming through in April, and the DevSecOps Engineer will be coming through in May. As I said earlier, the DevOps Foundation course is a prerequisite to all of these courses. So you must have done the DFC or the DevOps Foundation course before you book on to these courses. And as we described earlier in the first slide, you'll remember we talked about Bloom's taxonomy and the way that these courses are moving us up the levels from just comprehension and knowledge into application. And to reflect that as well, we've increased the exam time. So it's from 60 to 90 minutes. Still 40 multiple choice questions, but you get longer to complete them. So let's have a look at these in a bit more detail. So the first one, this one's coming out in February, remember, is the DevOps Test Engineer course. Daniel, would you like to talk us through the course objectives of this one?
The test, as you always say, is the brains of DevOps. You know, you're testing across the entire idea to realization life cycle. Is it a good idea? How do we know it's a good idea? Are we actually creating what we're supposed to be creating? How do we know that? And, you know, did we realize what we were supposed to from the customer's perspective? And how do we know that? And how do we apply automation properly to be able to help us do that better, faster, safer? So I think, you know, this was the #1 course asked for, and this is the first course that's being delivered. And test really does set the stage for making DevOps part of your organization, getting the right roles into place, and aligning them up across the delivery lifecycle. So I'm excited about this course.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of good points made in there. We've been saying this for quite a while. When I do my talk on how DevOps proliferates or propagates throughout an organization, I have a slide where I show a green person in an organization chart as the first person that switches onto DevOps. And I've put that in the testing silo in a traditional enterprise organizational structure. And I think it's fair to say that we did that on purpose because actually, even though you think DevOps, or it'll start in Dev or it'll start in Ops, often we see it happening in test, which are often siloed in the Dev silo, if you like, but they're often seen as a bridge or act as a bridge between the two parts. So the test people are really, really fundamental to all of this. And also there is the whole part of DevOps around shifting left and never letting a known defect pass downstream. Having solid testing practices and automation are really essential to increasing that flow and ensuring quality is built in right from the start. So you can see here the course objectives are around learning the purpose and the benefits and the concepts of the vocabulary around DevOps testing. So that is things like shifting left, like we've just discovered. How DevOps testing differs from other types of testing. So there'll be a big discussion here around manual testing versus automated testing, and doing testing around security and performance and building it in early, building it into an IDE, and then moving on to the kind of fifth point here around CI and CD, so the importance of the automated test when we're trying to build our DevOps toolchain or our DevOps pipeline, or as we like to often refer to it, the DevOps loop, so increasing that flow through as much as we can. And then, of course, the very important cultural piece about the tester's role in influencing how the culture operates. So the audience for this particular course gets pretty broad, actually. So the obvious people that might want to do it is the test people. But actually, IT managers and project managers and release managers are all going to be very interested in this course as well, because as test becomes less siloed and becomes part of what we do more incrementally and iteratively as part of a sprint cycle, more and more people need to understand the basics. And the more that we automate test, the less we need to understand about the actual tests themselves. So that is the DevOps Test Engineer course. The next one we're going to look at is the Continuous Delivery Architect one. So Daniel, would you like to cover off from the top where this one's come from?
Well, the first thing I want to point out is that the font has gotten smaller. And that's because there's a lot to discuss here. If you're going to be thinking about how your developers, from the time that they start working in a sprint until the time that they get to the point of done, and you help to define the word done as being in the hands of the customer, you've now gone from continuous integration to continuous deployment. So there's a lot of stuff that's involved in that. First, you have to get integration correctly. Then you have to get continuous integration correct. And you have to look about how you then extend that into your different environments. How many environments do you really need? I mean, do you really need all the environments that you have today? How do you get rid of all your branches and just go to a certain trunk and only have one trunk or one trunk per product that you're working against? So there's all kinds of discussions to be had, just around continuous integration. Now that you feel that you've got that under hand, well, let's throw in the concept which you mentioned before about passing a defect downstream. Well, downstream is continuous delivery, which is the concept of saying whatever we create needs to be releasable. So how can we do that? How can we make sure that it's version controlled, it's got the right documentation, service desk is ready to support it, we've tested rollback, we've done security testing, risk analysis has been done, and if we really needed to, we could release that out into the organization. So continuous delivery being that next area is a big cultural upheaval, but a worthwhile cultural upheaval if you're going to make your organization the best when it comes to technology practices. And what metrics do you need to be able to do that? And let's extend that even further and just say, okay, there are some things that you know that you've created, they've passed the right type of test, everyone is ready to do it. Well, let's not take it to a change approval board. Let's not have a button that has to be pushed to make it go live. Let's just have it go live. So it's small enough that it can be rolled back if it does cause an issue, but it's large enough as a feature to fulfill the request or a good portion of a request of a customer, whether it's internal or external. And what are the risks associated with that? What are the challenges associated with that? But what are the good success things that are associated with that as well within an organization? And how do you get started in all these three aspects? So there's a lot to cover in these 2 days, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is broken down into 3 more courses as either part of the Game Changer concept or new courses in themselves.
Absolutely. So I think it's, you make some really important points in there. It's time and time again we see organisations that have built some CD pipeline and haven't managed to get it utilised by the organisation, and time again we see people trying to do DevOps and just building a pipeline and forgetting about all of the other stuff around it. Again, pretty broad audience for this one. Architects, developers, build engineers, both the operational and infrastructure teams there as well. Security professionals also. So increasingly we're talking about building security in, particularly with our partner Sonatype, who with the builders of Maven, the artifact repository, who have a tool called Nexus Lifecycle, which also integrates into Artifactory and NuGet, which allows us to in the CD lifecycle have in the IDE and in the as code is integrated or code is pushed through the CD lifecycle, is checked for vulnerability and license errors, if you like. So you can set up the profile of what you're willing to accept in terms of vulnerability and in terms of commercial license restrictions. So that's the CD Architect, or the Continuous Delivery Architect course. The DevOps Leader course, I think Daniel wanted me to say on this one which one is my favourite. This one is probably my favourite course. Jane also refers to this one as the DevOps Cultural course, or Culturalist. We think she might have made that word up. Course, and this is really for the people that are leading the DevOps charge, that are evangelizing DevOps principles and practices through the organization. So, Daniel, what does this build on for us over and above the DFC?
I think the things that we see when we go into organizations is middle management or senior management goes to a conference or they read something and they have a basic understanding or believe that they have a basic understanding about DevOps. but how did they make that real every single day for their staff? How did they make that real and important to suppliers as they move out into the cloud? And more importantly, how did they show that technology is a valid partner to their organization? And this course is set to address that. It's set to give some meaningful ways of acting like a DevOps leader, which is not go do DevOps, but follow me and let's learn about how DevOps can help us across the idea to realization lifecycle to enable technology to remove goals, to enable goals in an organization or remove obstacles that the organization has, and where can technology best be applied. So like you, this is my favorite course.
Oh, we're agreed on that one. So audience for this one, anyone involved in the cultural transformations and organisational change, any of these leaders, managers, directors, business stakeholders, practitioners and change agents. So we talk about change agents quite a lot. We've done webcasts in the past. You can find them on YouTube about the support that change agents and change leaders need, as they are a rare breed, but absolutely essential to making DevOps happen. And then the tools providers and system integrators and any of you DevOps consultants out there as well. So the final course of these four is the DevSecOps Engineer. So this one is coming out in May. So it's probably worth me recapping. We did have it on the slide earlier, but the first one we talked about, so that was the DevOps Test Engineer. That one is coming out in February. The one that is coming out in March is the CD Architect, the Continuous Delivery Architect. The one that is coming out in April is the one that we just covered, so the DevOps Leader, and this one is coming out in May. So this is the DevSecOps Engineer one. So very close to our hearts as well, particularly because of our relationship with Sonatype and the amount of conversations that drives for us with organisations about how to build security in from the get-go in their CD pipeline and in their DevOps processes. It's also traditionally been quite overlooked in the DevOps space, and we always talk about DevOps being about making better software faster and more safely, and the more safely bit has always been really, really close to our hearts here. And if you refer back to the Phoenix Project book, you'll remember John, the character, for those of you that have read it, the security man, and the relationship that Bill has with him, and how that changes during the course of the book, and John's experiences in terms of trying to make improvements in that particular organisation. So what are the primary things that learners are going to learn about here, Daniel?
I think this is where people now have to embrace security and doing security in the same way that they embrace the concept of test. It's not someone's job anymore, it's everyone's job to test. It's everyone's job to make sure that things are being done in the in a secure fashion. So not just the firewalls and things, but how do you keep yourself safe from cyber attacks? How do you keep yourself safe from people that want to do a good job but go and download open source and think that it's safe, but it's not being safe? All those types of challenges, both internal to your IT department, but throughout your whole organization as people are going out and using the internet to do things or intranet to do things, how to do that in a safe manner, like you said, across the entire life cycle. And how do you then go and apply the right type of security sciences or security services or security tools, the right type of monitoring? I mean, I would like you to explain a little bit about Dynatrace as well, because you have to have monitoring and alerting here to interact with this. So I think this is, this really is the glue between the development of an idea, the testing of the idea, the going live of that idea, and making sure that it's safe.
Sure, and we should mention Dynatrace as well as our partner that provide digital performance management. So we primarily see them actually as the people that allow us to close the ideation to realization loop. So allow us to trace the path of an idea as it goes through development and is tested and is released. But Dynatrace allows us to actually report on the business value that the innovation is delivering when it's in production. But it also, as Daniel says, it allows us to build in very early into pre-production the confidence that the system is going to perform as well as hoped for, and that there aren't any glitches that have been put into it. So the audience for DevSecOps, so obviously anyone that's interested in DevSecOps, and then the security professionals. But as Daniel said, in the same way that DevOps isn't one person's job, it's everyone's job. And what DevOps builds in is awareness for everybody that's involved in the SDLC and the delivery of innovation to the customer to think about things like security and performance and quality and all of these things. So again, quite a wide audience of people that are likely to be wanting to do this particular course. So, Daniel, just if you could recap on what we've got here, that would be great, and the Game Changer badge. And then while you're doing that, I'm just going to release a little poll for everybody. So I'm just going to launch that now while Daniel gives us a recap.
So when this is all done, there's going to be a series of courses that are going to be talking about DevOps from a foundation point of view, Agile Service Manager and Agile Process Owner, which, as Helen said, are the Scrum equivalents of a Scrum Master and a Product Owner to help people get great processes and not just ITIL processes, you know, onboarding, funding, any type of process. And then how do you go and manage those as new services that you roll out to your customer? How do you test against that with the DevOps Test Engineer? How do you lead against that as a DevOps leader? How do you build that life cycle from continuous integration to continuous deployment? And how do you make it secure? So these are all great courses that are going to be coming out that, you know, are going to challenge people. And the Game Changer is there to go say, some of these things actually you may want to deep dive a little bit more into, and Helen on the next, when she stops the poll will show you there's 4 areas so far, and the Game Changer courses are being created by people that are really well known in each one of the aspects of Lean, Kanban, IT service management, etc. These are, you know, several individuals that do this as part of their life, if you want to say, do this every single day, are recognizable names. And so it's really going to be exciting to work with them in creating these courses, but also work with them to learn and continue to involve all the other practices that will be coming out of the DevOps Institute, and that Ranger 4 can then share with everyone that works with us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to close the poll and I'm going to share the results. So that was very interesting. That was really interesting to watch live as well. And Daniel, yours and my favourite course also appears to be the audience's favourite course. That did get up to about 83% at one point of people saying that they really were interested in that one. Doesn't add up to 100 because it was you're allowed to choose multiple courses on there. I'm really grateful to everyone that completed that poll actually, because I'm sure that the DOI will be very interested in that pattern as well. And we clearly have some work to do around the DevSecOps engineer, which is interesting. That one, as I said, that one is really close to my heart, that one. Right, so back to what Daniel was just starting to touch on here. So the DevOps drill down courses. So Daniel, what have we got here?
I don't see your slide.
Do you not? I doubt anyone can then. So
I see the quick
let's say
poll
high
still.
results. What can you see now?
Oh, there we go. Yes, thank you very much. So in no particular order, what is Lean and why is it important to DevOps, and how can it help people that are in the Agile space, and how can it help people that are in the IT service management space? All of the movements have one thing and have several things in common, but the biggest thing that they have in common is being able to visualize what you do, being able to manage the work that you do through that visualization, being able to help people recognize problems very quickly through that visualization, and that's perfect for Kanban. So Kanban is going to be coming in. IT service management, we talk about agile and we talk about, all kinds of security and testing and stuff. But really, what do we mean by IT service management? What does the new IT service management look like? And how can it help the development of an idea until it's fully operational across the idea to realization life cycle? And lastly, something that Ranger 4 again contributed to was DevOps simulation. And you mentioned the Phoenix Project, great book. How do you simulate the scenarios that were put in there? The fact that the business didn't know how to talk to IT, that IT didn't know how to talk to IT, that IT didn't know how to talk back to the business. So the Phoenix Project game, the Phoenix Project simulation that Ranger 4 helped create with GamingWorks is also going to be offered as a way forward to help people learn. And all of that will be coming in Q2 of 2017.
Yeah, but as you say, we have the game ready. We've been running the game for several months now. So if you want a DevOps simulation, we can help with that sooner. So there's a link to the download for the ebook. It is in your handouts, as I said earlier on, however. So hopefully those of you that want it have downloaded it from there. So that is the end of today's webcast. Do we have any more questions coming through?
We have two. Yeah. One is the cost of the DevOps course you can see on the website. And can we get a recording? Yes, this webinar will be recorded and be available, and you'll get a link to it shortly.
I can see a couple more actually from Rajashi. So is the DevOps Foundation a prerequisite for DevOps Leader? Yes, it is. DevOps Foundation course is a prerequisite for all 4 of those courses that we've described today. The costs are on the website, but we'll point you at them after this call. And there's a question around the cost of recertification and validity. I think that's probably asking how long the certificates are valid for and what happens when they run out and need to be revalidated. Daniel, are you able to answer that one?
I'm not. I know it's a discussion that is being talked about within the DevOps Institute. For now, there is no time frame, but I can see where at some point in time we're going to have to put a time frame on because of the body of knowledge changing.
Yeah, and typically would someone have to resit the course, or could they just resit the exam? Because obviously that will affect the cost quite a lot.
These are all questions that are still being discussed.
Okay. Great. Well, in that case, thanks for... Oh, hang on. I've got more questions coming through as well.
Yep.
Are the courses the de facto certification for DevOps? Oh, that's a very interesting one. Thanks, Craig. Daniel, do you want to have a go at that one, and then I'll add my 2 pennyworths if your answer sounds different from what I would have said?
The courses are there to share knowledge from people that have a lot of knowledge over the last decade or 15 years, depending on your point of view, in creating this movement called DevOps. I don't think anyone has a de facto certification. I think the DevOps Institute is trying to create a way that individuals that have a lot of knowledge can come and create a way to share that knowledge via a, for lack of a better word, course. So I think these are the, obviously I'm going to say this, but I think these are the best courses available on the market. But I would hate to think of them as de facto.
Yeah, what's wrong with them being de facto?
It means that these are the absolute official, in my, this is my American interpretation of the phrase de facto, is that these are the official courses. And I think we're trying to say that these are the best courses that are available, but since there's not a body of knowledge that agrees on what the definition of DevOps is yet, even though that's still being constantly defined, how can you have a body of knowledge that says these are the official courses for then that thing that we have yet to define? So that's why I say this is an evolving body of knowledge, and people need to keep up with what's happening, and the DevOps Institute and Ranger 4 are trying to create that way of learning what's happening, keeping up what's happening through the introduction of the courses or the simulations.
Yeah, and I think we could probably debate the semantics around de facto and official. I mean, de facto standard for me is the thing that has naturally become the standard through people utilising it and it being generally accepted by the market as the leading course. I think, from my point of view, I think that would be the DOI's intention, is to become the de facto standard. They were certainly very much first to market in terms of offering DevOps certifications, although some recently some more bodies have come through offering certifications, although these new ones do lift us to a higher level again in terms of our offering to the marketplace. So I think, yeah, the ambition is to be there, but I think in terms of monopolising the market, that's, we don't really want to do that. It's healthy to have people testing us all the time. Got a few more questions to rattle through. They're coming in, have been coming in quite fast. So, can the DevOps Foundation course be done online? Yeah, we did cover this one earlier, but no worries, we'll cover it again. Yes, it can be done online. We have an online version, and we'll put a link to that in the follow-up email. The Agile Service Manager course can also currently be done online, and the Agile Process Owner course is coming. They normally come through online about a month or two after they come through, although Capo has been a bit slower than that. But yes, we will send you a link to those. And are we doing any Christmas discounts? We are about to announce an offer, actually, where we mentioned the simulation, or Daniel mentioned the Phoenix Project game simulation that's kind of coming through as one of the drill down topics from the DOI. But we were involved in writing that with Gaming Works and have been offering it for, probably about 6 months now, and done quite a few of these around the place. The game is £5,000 for 12 people to participate in a day. It's experiential learning, effectively. And then we're going to be offering that. And if you order and pay for it by the end of next week, we'll also throw in a course, the DevOps Foundation course, for 5 people alongside that, free of charge. So watch your inboxes for more on that. And another question, what's the difference between the classroom training and the online version? So the online version is basically self-learning. There's lots of videos and things for you to look at. You do it at your own pace over a period of time, whether you choose 36 days or more. And there are mentors available online for you to ask questions as you go through the course if you have a query. The classroom training, we either do it in one of our classrooms as public schedule or on site at the customer over 2 days. So really the classroom training would always be our preference, but we understand that not everybody has the training budget to be able to do that, or has the ability to take 2 days out of work to come to a public schedule. Or if we do the class on site with a customer, we have to have a minimum of 6 people on the course. So it's quite often difficult for people to get that many people in the classroom all committed. So some people do want to do it online. The experience, we feel, is richer in the classroom. You're obviously in front of the trainer. We make the class itself very interactive, so we run a lot of discussions and exercises and get people moving around and presenting ideas to each other and sharing experiences. Which is particularly rich in the public schedule course, where you get lots of people from lots of different companies. It's also very, very interesting to do it on site with just one organisation, so just your organisations. It really helps to surface a lot of the understanding around what your value streams look like and what you need to do as a team to move forward. And then one more question. So Rajashi is asking, is range4.com a registered education partner for the DevOps Institute? Yes, we are, and we have been right from the start. As I said, I am also on the board of regents at the DevOps Institute, so we do work very, very closely with them, and we are a rep.
So, we help create the courses as well.
We do, as Daniel said, and we review the courseware and we contribute to the courseware also. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. That brings today's webcast to an end. As I said, it has been recorded and we will be sending you a link to it shortly. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thanks and goodbye.
Yep. Bye, everybody.